going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now,
Jimothy.
So ladies and gents, we are back with another video, and this time I'm doing something slightly different. Now, I used to play a lot of EDO Pro back in the day, and I still do, to be honest. This is where I test when I can't actually test IRL, but my computer is not the best, hence why I've kind of like shied away from it. Some of the frame rates on it are ridiculous, but nevertheless, if you get to 1,000 subscribers, I've promised myself I'd buy a new computer. So if you're new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. Now, this is the deck that I've been trying to I'm trying to perfect, in a sense, just to try and make sure it's playable. Now, at the moment, this is the current build that I'm working with. Now, it is Despia Invoked. Now, it does have a couple of engines, which means that I'm missing out on some defensive cards, like some key hand traps, for example. But nevertheless, it is still a very strong deck, and the way that I've designed this deck is to make sure I don't lose out on hand advantage, mainly because a lot of the fusion decks at the moment currently lose out on hand advantage due to the nature of the deck itself. Like, fusion summoning is very costly, putting a lot of resources into one card that can be easily removed in this meta that we call Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment, with so many cards on around like Dark Ruler, Droplets, Forbidden Chalice, for example. So I've tried to design it to make sure that my hand advantage is full. Now, going into the build, this is basically what I'm running with at the moment. I'm running one Dramaturge, one Ad Libitum. Now, I haven't really seen too many builds of Despia that I've liked. It's been all over the place, but I really do value Ad Libitum, mainly because it can bring back Despia monsters or level 8 or higher fusion monsters, which is very interesting. Now, I haven't put DPE in this build, but I do plan to kind of like test DPE as well, because believe it or not, Ad Libitum could potentially bring him back, as well as all your other level 8 or higher fusion monsters. So your Quertus, your Blazing Dragon, for example, your Titanic Lad, if you want to put the Dogmatica package in. There's just a lot of ways this deck can go. I was thinking about putting the Dogmatica package in. I am actually messing about with that, but I do really value Ad Libitum. Next, we've got a couple of Fantastical Dragon Phantasmes, just to kind of like skim from a deck. He's also a dark, he's also put a body on board and it prevents targeting, so I thought to just put him in. Now, you might be questioning my ratios. These are the actual cards that I have to hand, and this is the deck that I've got built at the moment. So I'm playing cards that I actually own rather than cards that I don't own at the moment. So this is what we're going with. We're also running 2 Aluba. The reason I've gone for 2 is because I only own 2. Also, I'm running 3 Alistar, and I didn't want more than 5 normal summons, basically. So Aluba is nice as a 2 of excuse me. Running 1 Fallen of Albaz, just lost his name for a second. Again, there's only one target in our deck, actually. In fact, there's a couple of targets. We can actually go into Starving Venom using Fallen of Albaz, providing that our opponent controls a dark monster. And funnily enough, this card does not target, so this could potentially be another summon, although I usually actually use him for fusion material, to be honest. Now, this is the advantage engine of the deck: Edge Imp Chain along with your Frightful Patchwork. So if Edge Imp Chain is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard via card effect, you can add 1 Frightful card from your deck to your hand, which is going to be Frightful Patchwork, and then Frightful Patchwork can add a Edge Imp Chain as well as a Polymerization from your deck to your hand. So you literally always going +1 off this card, because this is a +1 by itself, to be honest. A very powerful card, and Edge Imp Chain, as well as being a dark, will actually net you some advantage, especially as you're going to be fusion summoning a lot. We've got 3 Alistar Invoker. Nothing needs to be said about that guy. We're actually running 3 Despian Tragedy. Now, you can actually drop this down to 2, but like I said, I'm still testing, and it does kind of like synergize with the deck, especially as we're going to be banishing a lot, either through Invocation or through branded in red. So Despia allows for you to double search, and especially if he's in graveyard, you can actually banish him to set a branded spell or trap back to your field, so it can actually recur your field spell as well as some of your quick play spells. Next, we've got 2 Veiler, just as some light targets to be able to go into some of our other monsters. We've got double Polymerization, again I mentioned this with the Frightful Patchwork, Invocation to go with Alistar. We've got some back row removal, mainly because I'm scared of Outlich and Skill Drain, so maining some back row removal, because there's no real inherent way to be able to get rid of back row in this deck as it stands. So I thought mainly the double Cosmic Cyclone is just another way to ensure that I've got some kind of out to like Floodgate or Mystic Mine, for example, or Skill Drain, or any kind of back row strategy. This card is just absolutely crazy. Actually special summons a Despia card from your deck. It doesn't, and it discards a card. Now the discard is actually by card effect, so it doesn't actually discard for cost. So if your opponent does Asher, you don't neg as hard as you would normally do with some other cards like Sign It Mining, for example. But it actually can trigger your Edge Imp Chain, as you'll see in a couple of the replays, which I'll show after this this profile. So this card, I forgot what its actual TCG name is at the moment, it's losing me, but definitely a powerful card, and I've gone for 3 of it. It also protects your fusion monsters from destruction once. So Lightning Storm, any kind of destruction like DPE, for example, it just gets rid of it. I'm also running the 2 Dark Ruler No More. I could actually bump this up to 3. If I did own a Forbidden Droplets, this would be a Forbidden Droplet slot, but I don't, so this is that said card. Triple Polymerization. Now if you run into any kind of dark or light, it's an auto win, especially if you're going into your Quirites or your Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. It can also get rid of some interesting boards, especially like the Sword Soul matchup. If they've got a couple of worms on board, which are typically different same type, different attributes, you can actually go into your Mud Dragon of the Swamp, which is interesting. Nevertheless, we got double branded in red, a very powerful card. It does synergize well with your Fallen of Albaz as well as your Luber of Jester. You can actually get it back out the graveyard and then banish the materials to fusion some of the fusion monster, which is just crazy. And a lot of your Despia cards proc off being banished or used for a fusion material. Triple Magical Meltdown just for consistency. 1 Despia Theatre of the Branded. Again, this is just for some nice plays. It actually doesn't need to be any more than 1. You can search it easily. You can reset it off your Despian Tragedy, and typically once you've got this propped once, you should be in a position where you could push for game, because this deck does some heavy damage. Just going on to the extra deck real quick, we got 1 Despian Priscinian. I don't tend to go into this guy too much, but however, when he does appear, especially mid to late game, he can be a problem. He can just revive a fusion, synchro, XYZ or link monster in your opponent's graveyard to your field, so you can bring back your opponent's DPE, you can bring back any kind of fusion monster they've summoned, Dragoon for example, Access Code Talker, just whatever you want, ladies and gents. It's actually crazy. 1 Mechabad, this potentially could be 2. 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon as our generic super poly target. Double Quirites, this card is crazy, it floats into other cards, especially your branded monsters from your deck, so you can actually proc their effects. So he is very nice to go into, especially turn 1. You can also make your opponent's attack position monsters 0, providing a level 8 or higher fusion monster. 1 Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. I've contemplated putting this up to 2 because it puts so much pressure going first. It's also really good late game. If you clear your opponent's board, you can actually win the game with this card. So this could potentially be another this potentially could go up to 2 basically, so definitely something I'm considering. 1 Titanic Lad, 1 Albion the Branded Dragon to go with our Fallen of Albaz. It can actually help us fuse. Obviously when we get the Albaz structure, that this is going to become a lot more powerful. 1 Invoked Aguides, again this is a nice card, especially mid to late game. 1 Purgatrio. I do play the Salamangreat Armorage and Secure Gardener package for this reason. I've actually won a couple of games just using Purgatrio and just attacking over all my opponent's monsters with Alistair the Invoker, with giving it the attack boost. So very powerful card. I like to include beaters like this because it just can kind of like equalize the board state depending on your situation. We've got 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Invoked Kaliga, as well as a Nightmare Phoenix, a Secure Gardener, and a Salamangreat Almirage. And then the side deck, ladies and gents, just some random assortment. This can be whatever you want it to be. Now I'm going to leave you with a few replays, ladies and gents, and what I will say is I'm still working on this deck. I'm still trying to find the kinks in it. I haven't actually tested it IRL, however I'm hoping to this week because I didn't make it to locals over the weekend. I tried to, but there was a crash on the motorway and I just got stuck, so it is what it is. But anyway, if you do like this content, you know what to do, ladies and gents. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that beautiful good stuff, and I will leave you with the replays, and I will definitely catch you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.